Hey guys, after my last Sojourn tip video, I posted a poll seeing what hero you guys wanted, and Genji ended up winning, so today I'm bringing you guys some Genji tips. Now that Overwatch 2 is out, I honestly completely forgot that there'd literally be new players coming to the game, and not just experienced players. So if you watched my Tracer tip video, I know that sometimes you'll hear me say like, oh, you should know this already, blah blah blah. Like, I made that video, I think, in the beta, and at that point they were already experienced with the game. But for this video, I'm going to be showing some tips for the newer players, like some pretty already well-known Genji things. But I'm also going to be showing a few like niche little tricks that a lot of people might not actually know. So with all that out of the way, let's get started. So for the first tip, we have some of Genji's basic shuriken combinations. The first combination that you should know about is the shuriken melee combination. In Overwatch, you can animation cancel everything with a melee. So with Genji, what you want to do is you want to use your fan ability and then melee right after. You could do both in an instant. You literally press one button right after the other, and you could actually end up insta-killing people. I don't suggest that you actually melee every time you fan, because when you melee, you're actually stuck in that animation, and that can be a lot of downtime for your shurikens. So only use it when you know that it could help you guarantee a kill. Next combo we have for Genji is one of his most used, and it is the fan dash melee combo. Basically what this is, it's 3 inputs. You use your fan ability, immediately dash as you click it, and then at the end of your dash you melee. This is probably his most used because it's really simple once you get it down. It's a little difficult at first when you don't know what buttons you're pressing, but once you get that down, it's really simple. And in an up close 1v1, it's actually very useful because it's a lot of damage almost instantly. So yeah, if you want to play more Genji, I heavily suggest that you do this more often, because if you get these 2 animation cancels down, you're pretty much good to go. However, adding on to these other 2, there's actually a third lesser known animation that's actually really good. It actually uses the same 3 inputs that I mentioned in the second animation cancel, but this time is in a different sequence. So to do this, you dash, and then using whatever button you have to use your fan ability, you hold that button and then melee at the same time. What this will do is that as soon as you end your dash, you immediately come out with a right click and a melee. This is really good for the skilled Genjis because this requires a little more mechanical prowess than the other 2 animation cancels, but it's extremely good and it's really flashy too. I suggest you try to master this one once you get the other 2 a little more down. And also a good way to practice it is to try doing it at the full extent of your dash. However, you don't need to actually fully use your dash in order to pull this off. A lot of the ways you see it done in game is you could actually dash towards the floor looking down, and then at the end of it you could do the same animation cancel that I showed. Just do whichever way helps you practice it, and I promise you that is a really good thing to have in mind. So the next tip, or kind of basically 2 tips I have for Genji, involves Deflect. So we all know that for Genji you could actually cancel your Deflect, and this is extremely useful in a 1v1 because when you're in a 1v1, it's kind of a mind game. The enemy has to guess whether or not you're going to hold your Deflect up or cancel it immediately. So they could actually shoot themselves in the foot by shooting your Deflect. Honestly, it's really in your favor because they have no clue what you're going to do, so it's actually kind of broken. So the first part of the tip is actually how to use your Deflect. For my beginner Genjis, I really suggest that you guys don't hold your Deflect out for the entire duration. Unless you absolutely need to get out or get behind cover. There, I wouldn't say anything to you holding it. However, when you're in a 1v1 though, a lot of newer Genjis typically hold their Deflect out. However, I suggest that you either cancel it midway or cancel it early, because that'll just completely throw them off and it'll be extremely good. Also, it's good to cancel it early because whatever you're trying to deflect, they'll probably use it at the beginning and you could catch them off guard with your Deflect. And after you hold it for more than like a second, they're not going to shoot it because they're not that dumb. The second part of the tip is to actually animation cancel your Deflect. So as you can see here, when you hold your Deflect out for the full duration, you actually put it away, and that takes like half a second. I didn't really take the time on it, but I know it just takes a little bit of time. This also applies to when you either cancel it halfway or a little bit after you've actually started the Deflect sequence. But if you were to actually press the Deflect button right after initiating it, you could actually immediately animation cancel the putting away animation and shoot out 3 shurikens. All this happening in the enemy's face is going to be so fast. Like, it's even fast for you and it's even faster for the enemy, because again, the Deflect is all a mind game, and if you cancel it right after you use it, it's just going to throw them off completely. In fact, some people actually think that Genji's Deflect should be nerfed and should not be able to be canceled, because that was put in the game I think a year or a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago. It wasn't always part of Genji's kit, but people think it's really broken because it almost guarantees a 1v1 win. The next tip is actually a few tips, all involving his Dragonblade. So the first tip I have for his Dragonblade is probably the most basic one that you need to know on Genji, and it is the swipe dash animation cancel. So with Dragonblade, after your swipe, you can actually dash immediately to get that animation cancel and do 170 total damage. This is extremely useful because after you get kills, you could swipe to your next target immediately and do damage while also traveling to your next target, like I said. It's a really good thing to learn, and it's also especially good with Ana, because if you're playing Ana and you're playing Nanoblade against the Zenyatta's Transcendence, you can actually one-shot through Transcendence using this if you practice it enough. Here's a clip from Overwatch 1 where a nano boosted Genji one-shots 3 squishies through a Transcendence, all because of the animation cancel. The next tip I have for Genji is actually another animation cancel, which is pretty cool and actually quite simple. So at the end of every Dragonblade, Genji basically puts back his blade into its sheath, and it takes about a second or two to put it back, which can actually be really disruptive in a lot of fights. There's actually a way to cancel this, and to do that, all you need to do is either dash right before the blade ends or wall climb right before the blade ends. This saves so much time because not only are you skipping the animation, but you can go right into fighting by either deflecting, shooting your projectiles, dashing, whatever you need. It's extremely good, and I think that you should do it at the end of every blade if you can. So the next tip for Genji is actually relatively unknown, and it's actually pretty useful. If you activate Dragonblade with Genji, you're actually limited to 7 swings on a 6-second timer. There's actually a way to get 8 swings in instead of 7, and this is how you do it. But when Genji blades, you're stuck to 7 swings. He swings to the left and then he swings to the right. When he swings to the right, his recovery time is a little bit longer than it is when he swings to his left. There's actually a way to get 8 swings in instead of 7, and this is how you do it. So when you're actually blading and you're getting those dash resets, if you manage to dash reset as you see in this clip, you can actually get that 8th swing in and do an additional 120 damage. Now this can be a little difficult because you have to keep getting those dash resets, but when it's done, that 120 damage can be really useful. Those are all the Genji tips that I have for you guys. Some of these are a little more complex than others, but I tried to fit in a few for the beginners. But yeah, next year you guys want, let me know. I'll probably put up a poll soon so you guys can vote on it. I thank you guys for all the support recently. My settings video is doing really well, and I'm glad that a lot of people are just getting insight onto how I play. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.